Leeds United season is looking increasingly positive as time goes on, with the Whites having picked up a few results recently, winning against Chelsea, drawing against Liverpool, and performing reasonably well against Manchester City. Sorry if you can hear noises, by the way. I'm recording this at 6:23 in the morning with a baby next to me. I might have to throw this takeaway, we'll find out. But things are sort of improving at the moment even further behind the scenes as Leeds are doing what I think is some of the most important work the club can do at the minute, and that is working on the youth recruitment side, as Leeds United are set to sign an insane young winger from Liverpool. Now, going to run through all the sort of details that I can on this one just to sort of keep everyone in the loop. But before I do so, pop a like on the video, be massively appreciated. I promise I'm trying to keep up with them a little bit more, but I am night shift in terms of the baby at the moment, which means that in terms of time in the day, I ain't got that much at the moment because I'm sleeping a lot of it and I'm working the rest of it. And then it's nighttime and I can't really do a stream at nighttime because no one's going to be there. So that's where you end up. But let's get into it. Leeds United are set to complete the signing of Kai Morale, who is a 15-year-old winger currently at Liverpool. Was at Liverpool since the age of about 7. He's been there for 8 years, which shows that he is one of those players that has that innate sort of talent to him. Being picked up at the age of 7 by Liverpool's academy, of all places, is very, very, very promising, and staying in there for an extended period is even more so. He was very, very highly regarded by the club, reportedly, and before the move to Leeds, he played for the under-16s this season. At the age of 15, that's pretty damn good. Like with under-18s, you tend to get 18-year-olds playing in there. With under-16s, it tends to be 16-year-olds playing in there. 15 shows that he's playing a little bit above his age group, which is very, very good to see. He's also got a fair reputation to him, with a current sort of set of under-16 caps for Ireland to his sort of name, and is ultimately just a very, very, very big gain. But it's the sort of beyond that I think we need to take a look at, where Leeds United have sort of added benefits of doing this. Recently, you'll look at the sort of conversations around Finlay Gorton as a pretty big one. Leeds United youth player who moved to Manchester City. I've just realised I'm not quite framed right. There we go. Former Leeds youth player who moved to Manchester City because Manchester City could offer him a decent amount of money, and he wasn't properly under contract at Leeds yet because he wasn't quite old enough to be so. Everyone looks at that and goes, so even if we're in the Premier League, we're just going to lose players to these situations, which is a little bit of a shame. Being able to do that back to clubs, admittedly, Liverpool won't be holding this guy in regard as like the future, but being able to sort of pluck very, very good talent from various academies like Liverpool, like Man City. There were a couple of defenders that we managed to pluck from those academies past summer, and now they're a big part of the under-21 side. Is very, very, very good to see. And it's an advantage that I think Leeds United need to take more of whilst we are able to. A hell of a lot of decent footballers will be in these academies. At Man City, at Liverpool, at Man United, at Arsenal, etc. But we'll see that for them, there isn't necessarily a route to the first team. Because at the end of the day, if you are in Chelsea's academy, for example, you can be there from the age of 7 years old and keep playing and keep developing and keep improving and keep growing and just ultimately make yourself the best player possible. But you have a near guarantee that when it comes to that point in time, you're not going to make it into the first team. What's going to happen is they're just going to sign someone from somewhere instead. You're going to get sent out on loan to Reading, and eventually you'll be sold to make up for PSR things. On the other hand, if you go to somewhere like Leeds United, you can be a part of what is a developing academy like we've got at the minute, and we have proof of bringing players through the academy. Strauch we signed in from elsewhere, initially as a youth player, and he grew into it. Same for Somerville. Archie Gray started with us as a very, 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 very young player. I don't know when he joined our academy, but let's be honest, it was as a child, and is now, well, was a key part of the side, to the point where he managed to force his way into a championship side, got himself bought by a Premier League club, and now plays Champions League football relatively consistently. That's the route that these players will be looking at, and it's one that we need to keep a focus on, but it is also one that we need to keep a focus on whilst we are still in the Premier League. Because that attraction, that sort of draw, is something that we lose when we drop to the Championship. Yes, you can still sign some younger players in the Championship, but at the end of the day, if it's your academy or someone like Villa or someone like a Bournemouth or a Brighton, etc., 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 if you are Leeds and you are at that point in time a Championship club, these young players are going to see a lot more opportunity in the Premier League than they are in the Championship, which is a shame, but it's the nature of football at the moment. And it's not just the players, it's going to be the agents and their management and their parents and all this kind of stuff. But that's something that we need to be conscious of. I'm glad we're making these moves now, because if this season doesn't end in the way that we want it to end, there is always the chance that we could lose the opportunity to do this again. And that'd be a really, really big shame, I think. Anyway, I'm going to set out a couple of plans for content for this weekend. At some point later today, I'm considering doing a bit of a stream to do a bit of catch-up since the baby time, and looking forward to the match against Brentford. I'll be over on Big Up chatting to Joe for the match against Brentford, or at least in the pre-match and half-time. His watch-alongs are really, really good. I massively recommend them, because it's a mix of your sort of standard highly emotional watch-along and adding in the sort of tactical understanding that he's got. Sorry, I'm a little bit bunged up. I've got a cold right now. But that's a really nice sort of addition to the watch-along space. So I recommend going over there. And yeah, I'm trying to pick up doing more videos and more streams and things like that. But for obvious reasons that you might be able to hear right now, because she's stirring a little bit, it's a little bit difficult to do. Anyway, with that, I'm going to end the video a little bit earlier than I was planning on it, but that's fine. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, pop a like on it, subscribe, become a channel member, all that fun stuff. And I will see you later. Toodaloo.